did we as a society fail these young girls? What's poppin', Bab Squad? Today's video is going to be a little different than any video I've done so far. I'm going to be recapping the Surviving R. Kelly docu-series that Lifetime just presented to us. It started on Thursday, January 3rd, and it ended on Saturday, January 5th. So if you missed it, just stay tuned because I'm going to cover a lot of the details, but also make sure you go back to Lifetime and watch that docu-series because child, the shenanigans is out of control. This content is going to be sensitive and may be triggering, so if you do not want to watch this video, you can feel free to check out any of my other content. You should have a blast going through all those videos and playlists. Like, it's lit and we ratchet and fun over here, okay? So go check out some of those videos if you don't want to watch this one. And if you do want to watch this one and find out more about the freaking Robert Kelly fiasco, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and stay tuned. Let's start out with some background on this whole fiasco, okay? So number one, who is Robert Kelly? Robert Kelly, aka R. Kelly, is an R&B sensation in the 90s and pretty much until I guess a couple years ago, which is disgusting. Lifetime is making this special so that we can finally address the truth about who Robert Kelly really is, okay? And all the shenanigery that he has done in his lifetime to countless girls and young women. Robert Kelly has been accused of I don't even know how many counts of child pornography, sexual abuse, domestic violence. In the midst of his child pornography counts was when he peed on a 14-year-old girl. We'll get into that. Unfortunately, R. Kelly has sunk his nasty ass teeth into the heart of the black community and has targeted young black girls and a few Latina girls. R. Kelly has stolen endless young black and Latina girls, literally from the 90s till now. Let's get into some of our survivors. I have a notebook, so y'all might see this pop up throughout this video. So just know that that's what this is, okay? Because we had to write it all down because he was busy, okay? Robert was busy. So our first survivor I'm going to talk about is Lizette Martinez. Lizette Martinez met Robert Kelly when she was around the age of 16. She was an aspiring singer and she really thought that he was going to help her build her career and, you know, just get her some connections out in the music world. As did a lot of his victims, if not all of his victims. They all thought that he was going to help them progress their careers in the music industry. The reality of Lizette's experience with Robert Kelly is that she contracted mono. Unfortunately, her mono turned into something way more serious and ended up paralyzing her for an undisclosed amount of time. She describes her time with R. Kelly as abusive. She describes her sex with R. Kelly as not natural. The next survivor we'll discuss is, where is mine? Andrea Kelly. Andrea Kelly is R. Kelly's second wife. You may ask, who was his first wife? Well, that would be Aaliyah at the tender age of 15. He had his camp, and we're gonna call him out, okay? Because we called them out in the Lifetime special, but they didn't really call them out the way I'm about to call them out because they need to be called out on some other shit. Like Demetrius Smith, the tour manager back in the day, was around when R. Kelly decided he wanted to marry Aaliyah because he got her pregnant, okay? And so what they did was falsify her documents. So they made her seem on paper that she was 18. In reality, she was 15. And a quote from him is that he wanted to reach out and talk to her and just grab her because she looked like she wanted him to talk to her. But no, he just let her go off into the abyss of sexual abuse and torment with Robert Kelly. After her, he married Andrea Kelly, or Andrea, I don't know. They were pronouncing her name all types of ways on the Lifetime special. I can't even keep up. She was a dancer living her own best life. Her best friend, and we're going to talk about this. Stop dragging your friends into your madness, okay? Your madness and your curiosities sometimes just need to stay your own madness and your own curiosities because Some of these girls did not have to be involved in all this foolishness. They just said, well, I'm not gonna let my girl go alone. Now they alone, locked up in a room, pissing in a bucket. But we'll get to that. So we have Andrea Kelly. She was a dancer. Her friend was like, oh girl, you need to go be a background dancer for R. Kelly. And she was like, who is R. Kelly? And she was like, you don't know who R. Kelly is? Long story short, she marries R. Kelly. She starts being abused. She has 2 kids by him. By the time she's about to give birth to her third child, he is arrested on charges for child pornography with the sex tape of the 14-year-old. And at this point, she almost lost her child because of all the stress and all of that involved with that situation. So she finally divorced R. Kelly and moved away, but her last name is still Kelly, and that's none of my business. Moving on. The most intense story, in my opinion, is the one of Lisa Van Allen. So Lisa Van Allen, she met R. Kelly when she was 17 years old, and somehow, someway, he coerced her into having sex with multiple women that she really didn't want to have sex with. And the most important one being the 14-year-old in the sex tape that had him urinating on a child and had him in jail. So the point of that whole story is she was having sex with that girl without knowing that she was basically helping him rape that little girl. And eventually she saw the tape that everyone was talking about, but she saw a different part that she was actually on. The part where the girl was getting urinated on was not a part of the tape that she was on, so she stole the tape because she didn't want anyone to see it and didn't want to be associated with it and all that stuff. So eventually she got nervous, like later that day that she stole the tape, she got nervous and she gave it to somebody else. The tape got leaked. Eventually she had to tell R. Kelly that the tape got leaked so that they could get the tape back. So he paid off some people. I think they said around $250,000 is what he had to pay to get the tape back and get the copies back. And so what she later found out was R. Kelly was plotting to have her murdered. So that is a very tragic story, in my opinion. You may be wondering, what abuse did these women have to suffer through? And so we're just not even going to dwell too long on it. I'm just going to list some of the things that they have said in the video, and that'll be that on that. So they had to stay in locked rooms. They were starved, sometimes 2 to 3 days. They were beaten. They were isolated from each other and their families. Verbally abused. He controlled everything from what they ate, when they peed, just everything, okay? Everything. He controlled everything. He forced different sexual encounters. He forced falsified statements about them stealing things from him or their family stealing things from him, and sent them death threats. So, you know, the main thing that I want to talk about is who was helping him. When it comes to Robert Kelly, his ex-wife Andrea really wanted us to know the man can't read and he can't write. So that being said, she's the one who was teaching him how to read and write, and she is no longer in the picture, and apparently he ain't learned much. Who is booking the flights? Who's booking the hotels? Who is finding all these girls? Who is doing all this? Demetrius Smith is only one person, and I don't believe that he was acting alone. So at this point, it's just a mess that everyone hasn't been held accountable for what's happening to these young women. Sidebar. One of the people that I know had an influence on how R. Kelly's brain freaking developed as far as how he treats women, aside from the fact that he was sexually abused allegedly by his older sister, but his older brother Bruce, who is currently serving time in a Chicago prison, I think. Yeah, he's out of pocket. He said a lot of questionable things in his interview with Lifetime, and let me go find them because yeah, see, big brother Bruce is a dumbass. Yeah, see, it's written right here. Let me tell you why. So he said, what's wrong with Robert having preferences of teenage girls? I don't know, maybe about 14 laws. You cannot have sex with children. It's not about a preference at that point. It's bigger than a preference. No one is trying to stifle this man's sexuality. We're simply saying children are off limits. You've been knew this. We all know that. So stop fucking them. That's all we're trying to say. He's not a victim. He's not a victim here. Then he says that to have your female counterpart, your girlfriend, your whatever, isolated is the way their family does things. You don't need to be talking to nobody else. You don't need to be wearing this. You don't need to be doing that, because that's just the way we are. That's a quote. That's a problem. It starts in the family, y'all. It starts in the family. A lot of people's biggest question is, where were these kids' parents? Like, how do you just let your child fall this hard for a pedophile? A lot of these kids' parents was right there. They literally watched their kids just leave, just disappear. Like, they were there until the kids turned 18. When the girls turned 18, he just excommunicated them from their parents. Like, a lot of the times the parents were also disillusioned and believed, just like their kids, that R. Kelly was really taking care of their children and really like fostering their careers and their talents and all of that, and he really wasn't. He was just having sex with them and locking them in rooms and hotels. So yes, the parents were right there. Some of them didn't know, because some of these girls have admitted that, you know, they didn't tell their parents the truth or whatever. But for the most part, they were right there. How did we as a society fail these young girls? That is what we really need to look at and really talk about and think about and change. Like, the way that the Black community alone failed these young women is disgusting. It's actually disgusting. Like, the characters in Criminal Minds do a better job at catching serial rapists than the actual police have done. Like, it's disgusting. They tried their best, but R. Kelly had certain officers on his side. He had, like I said, the Black community on his side. He had the music industry on his side. He had literally anyone he would need to be successful at this freaking... What is a word for this? Is there even a word bad enough for the shit that he is doing? Like, I don't think cult is a strong enough word. This man has abducted hella girls. Like, he just has a fucking chocolate factory, literally of abducted young women in his home. It's disgusting. I can't even. The fact that I was able to use the title of his song to explain the shit that he is doing is exactly how he was able to do it this long. His music was great. They talk about it all throughout the documentary. People of all different educational backgrounds, they have all said the same thing. He hid in plain sight through his music. He, much like anyone we would watch in SVU, Criminal Minds, NCIS, and all that stuff, has trophies. Those are the videotapes. He manipulated everyone like a fucking con artist, okay? And on top of that, we paid him to do it. We need to do better, okay? We need to actually cut off the people that we say we're going to cut off. We need to expose those trifling ass uncles, aunts, and cousins, baby fathers, stepfathers, boyfriends. I don't care who they are. They need to be exposed. We really need to value Black girls more. And if no one else in the world does, can we at least stop throwing them away? Can we as Black people stop throwing young Black girls and boys away? If it hasn't already been made clear, what I would like to see, at least from my Bab Squad moving forward, is no longer support R. Kelly's music. And if you want to find out ways that you can actually be more like proactive with that movement, check out hashtag Mute R. Kelly movement, because it was founded last year or the year before that, I think 2017 or the end of 2016. And their goal is to really get him off the air and out of concert venues. Like, we need to take away this man's money, because the money is the reason why he has the crew. The crew is the reason why he's getting away with what he's getting away with. Okay? So, we need to shut that shit down. I would love for us as a Bab Squad community to stop supporting questionable artists. I'm not talking about the ones that are borderline insane like Kanye. I'm talking about the ones who are borderline rapists like Tekashi. Especially the ones who think that it's okay to beat women, abuse women in any way, shape, or form, and have sex with minors. There's way more of them in our music than we think. And we really need to go through, weed it out, and fix it. And just cut the shit. And for everyone who is a parent in the Bab Squad, and for everyone who is considering having kids one day, I really need us to have more active parenting. It's not enough to have a double standard of my son can do this, but my daughter can't. Explain to your daughters why it is that they can't do certain things, or why you feel weird about them doing certain things. Stop letting pedophiles be the first people to teach your children about pedophiles. Teach your children about pedophiles. My kids, when I have them, will know exactly what a pedophile is, why they are called a pedophile at the age of 5. Why? Because they go to school, okay? Like, we need to stop beating around the bush. This shit is not taboo anymore. It happens too often for it to be taboo. So we need to talk about the real ass shit. And the sooner we talk to our kids about it, the better. So that they can have some understanding of why the fuck they can't talk to strangers. Why? What it does look like to be slowly manipulated and isolated. Like, these things are important. So we got to get that together, okay? I really, and most importantly, I really hope that all these girls who are still trapped wherever in America they may be trapped, if y'all ever even see this video, if some of y'all happen to see me, I really hope y'all go back to y'all families and get reunited with them, because everybody who watched the Lifetime documentary, we know how much they love y'all. Like, they really do. And I just hope that if anyone has anything or any way to help these girls, that we all just try, okay? Because the saddest part about it all was that none of these girls were forced to stay there. They're just brainwashed. They're literally just there because they think they have to be there. They're less than 6 yards away from freedom. So it's just very sad. So this is the conclusion of my video. If you didn't watch the series, make sure you go check the series out on Lifetime. Just remember that anyone can be R. Kelly. Like, you don't have to be a fucking multi-millionaire singer to have your hands and access to multiple young girls. Like, keep your eyes open. R. Kelly was just Robert Kelly before he realized he could sing. So that's all I have to say about that. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.